I wouldn't normally talk over all this stuff, but we're gonna have a little bit of a wait today because John is in a super secretive preview event. So I didn't go live until just about 10. Day one videos out for March Wave 1, which includes one of our topics, which is the Spongebob game. It gets a bundle, it gets in Game Pass, and Bracer's like, please, please give us money. Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. We'll be live the moment we can be. Lots to talk about. I just had the one song because normally we weren't on this screen very long. I might need to make a little ditty to change up the music in the future. Ooh, well, this isn't really Xbox related, but Microsoft will unveil OLED Surface Pro and ARM-powered Surface laptop this month. Surfaces are really nice. They're just always a little behind in specs for some reason. Yep, I saw Creed Neve. I added it to our list of headlines for the day. We'll be live in a minute or two, just waiting on the thing John's attending to wrap up. I love how a lot of other streams will do, like, I don't know, whenever I'm on Game Mess, they're live for like 20 minutes before they actually start up. Same with Grubb's like podcast, so many. The first time we have a going live screen for about 10 minutes, and of course there's a snarky comment in chat that can now be shadow banned. There is a surprising amount of news, actually, Taryn. I got like 10 things I think are headline worthy. But yes, we will be live any minute now. Oh, I didn't. I just completely erased him from existence on the channel. No food being given. Only being taken away. I guess it is more of a streamer thing. People are used to it on Twitch, where you like put your going live and then it's just up for a while and then you come back. YouTube less so, but there will be timestamps, so people will know exactly when things start, when they end. I make sure I like timestamps, so I make sure I go in and I do them the moment the show is done. I'm curious if I woke my son up while I was screaming out, "Are you ready, kids?" Because I woke myself up a bit. I was like, oh, I've really got to get this day one video done ASAP, because Headlines is on at 10. But then John really cares about Q&As, I guess. The Spongebob thing, we'll get into it. It's a bundle being sold at Best Buy. A very expensive one. You might see a little hitch. I'm going to very quickly change one setting I forgot to change from yesterday. I wish this thing would let me change without having to stop and start the stream, but it does not. I have to stop and start real quick for it to actually do the change. But okay, should be better now. I wish I had a, I wish I had a scene where I could just sit here and just shoot the shit while we wait. Turn the music down a little bit. Upcoming content for Xbox Era this month. I am working myself on Outcast, A New Beginning. Alone in the Dark and Dragon's Dogma. We will most likely have some form of coverage for Lightyear Frontier's launch into game preview. John is working on something that I don't remember if it has a date or not, so I can't tease it because I don't even know if it's been dated, let alone anything else. Cengiz is working on Unicorn Overlord. So, for all the weebs out there, we got you covered. And there will probably be more. I will have a review for Halo Episode 6. I completely forgot I have to do that. So that'll be my night tonight, is just writing that up and making a video. And then I will see if I'm lucky enough to get Halo's final 2 episodes. I have no idea. They just kind of show up or they don't. Again, this is Xbox Era Headlines. We typically will be live at 10 a.m. Eastern Time every Tuesday and Thursday. We just had a very long thing hit for John for work on the site. That's hard to know exactly when it was going to end. Otherwise, I would have just set this for 10:30. Yeah, there's not a ton coming out in March, but pretty much every major thing that is, we should be covering. I'm like 99% sure I'll be able to do Dragon's Dogma 2. It's always up to the publisher, but Capcom likes us, so. But I definitely am doing Alone in the Dark and, where the heck you call it? Outcast, A New Beginning. A game I forgot existed. But then it showed up, I was like, oh yeah, why not? Hit me up, Towny Sand. I'm vamping. I'm killing time. I feel bad. I don't want people to be bored. We'll treat it like a little coffee with cabeza. Yeah, of course, it is funny. Outlast and Outcast hit at the exact same time, pretty much. But Outcast, A New Beginning is a sequel to the 1999 game, which is kind of credited for creating the big open world. It was way ahead of its time, a cult classic. They did a remaster a couple years ago that didn't get the best reviews, but... yeah, when I look at it and I say it's not super busy, it's just because there's enough for like me and John, and a couple for Cengiz, but there's not so much that we can't keep up with it, which is how the first couple of months normally were going. It was like, there's way more than we can cover with our small team. Instead, this month feels like, for an Xbox-focused site, this is about the right amount. We can hit all the major stuff and a little bit of the smaller stuff that we're really into, and we're good to go.
Everyone, at last. I'm so sorry for keeping everybody waiting today for the latest episode of Xbox Era Headlines. If you're listening on audio platforms, obviously you haven't been waiting at all. It's just instantaneous. But everyone on YouTube had to wait like 25 minutes today because I was stuck in a preview event asking too many questions from some very lovely developers. You'll read about that later on this month. But yeah, we're here. Hi, Jesse. How you doing? Sorry for keeping you waiting.
I'm doing quite well. If things are starting to pick up, we did a day one video to wake myself up this morning. I worked really hard. I got it done in about 25 minutes because, like, I got to be ready for headlines at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you smashed it out. I saw, and there's some really good stuff coming already.
Yep, that will be a headline we get to, but it is not the first one because I added it in later.
So yeah, this if you're new to the site, to the channel, or you're first listening to this for the first time on audio, this is a relatively new endeavor from Xbox Era, where Jesse and I get together every Tuesday and Thursday to talk about the latest headlines from across gaming. So it's not just Xbox focused, but obviously, you know, we are Xbox Era, so we do talk about all of that stuff as well. As a bonus for our patrons, if you prefer your podcast in an audio format, Patreon users do get this show exclusively available to them either via the Patreon app, and you can just copy the RSS feed into your preferred podcast provider, or if you link your Patreon account to Spotify, you can listen to it right there in Spotify as well.
So fancy.
I know, it feels like we're almost like a real business or something. And a big thank you again to everybody in the chat. I've been kind of multitasking and reading, and I appreciate everybody sticking around to be here for when I eventually rocked up. Anyway, first up in the news, WWE 2K24. You just did a review for it, which is doing rather well on our channel.
Yeah, it's approaching 8K, which is the board. Very good for us. You know, some of the bigger channels might look at 8K and scoff, but for us, 8K is real good. So I'll take it.
Yeah, we like 8K. Yep, absolutely.
I've done the last. God, this is the third one in a row I've done, I think. And these reviews always do really well. Like, one of our biggest reviews ever was last year because I was one of the first on it. So WWE 2K24 pretty much just builds on 23. They took a year off, if memory serves. It was 1 year. They just took off. They didn't put out a game. And they're like, we need to fix this shit. Because they went from using ukes to doing it in-house at Visual Concepts. And the first one was really rough. And so they just took a year off, came back. It was okay. Then the next year in 23, pretty good. And then this year in 24, it's like they finally nailed it. It looks really good. It sounds really good. And for the first time, in my opinion, it plays really well. Like, matches look like TV, but still feel like a good video game. Because last year, they pushed really hard to look like television wrestling matches, but it took control out of your hand too much. So it's like, it's a video game. You want it to be fun to play while looking like the thing you know and love from TV. But it missed that too much, where you would go to do something and it just didn't work because, well, it wouldn't work in the show when they've got their choreographed moves and exactly how they're going to go. And you can't break that flow up. And the flow in this one's way better while still having way more modes. I know people are like, oh, you didn't break down every little thing. It's like, well, they only gave us 3 days, which is better than last year when they gave us like a day or two. But it's like, I could go half an hour into the minutia. But I think long live streams are better for that than like a text review that has to stand the test of time because so much changes in these games. So, but yes, on the whole, if you are into wrestling games, if you're into wrestling, sports entertainment, which someone got very mad about me using in the comments.
It is real.
Like, they get the shit beat out of them. They beat the shit out of each other to entertain people. That is real, but it is not a sport. Because otherwise they would be very heavily regulated. So they very clearly make sure that they say it's sports entertainment. It is choreographed live stunt work while acting. Like, it's incredibly difficult to do, but it's not an actual fight most of the time. Like, if people get really pissed, it might be. But then they get in trouble. But yes, WWE 2K24 is pretty darn good. I enjoyed it a lot. It's a very, very big package. The yearly sports games need to really sell themselves. They need to differentiate or really improve. And I think this one did more than 23.
Awesome. And it's getting. I mean, I'm looking at Metacritic, and it seems to have been very positively received across the board. Hell, there's even more than 3 reviews on the Xbox platform, which is nice to see.
It's weird.
So
last year I only got PC. This year I did get Xbox, so it made it a lot easier.
Lovely jubbly. I did see, and this is just like a little behind the scenes. There is another code that dropped into our mailboxes today, I think, for a thing. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but yes, I'm just covertly letting you know that that's there.
That I'm
awesome.
Going alone in where it's hard to see. I said that in the pre-show.
It was Nick levels of ruining the.
I literally said that I'm working on it now in the pre-show.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll let you off then. All right. Cool. So congrats to the devs of WWE 2K24. It sounds like wrestling fans are eating well. We look forward to reading the diatribe of comments in YouTube.
There's been a lot already.
Yeah, I mean, passion. It's passionate. I like it. Everyone loves passion, right? It's fine. In some breaking news, because this only happened in the last 30 minutes.
It's while we were on Going Live.
I know, I saw. Xbox Design Labs have surprised everybody by adding some rather fancy-looking Fallout designs.
They're very busy.
To your Design Labs agenda of creating all these different kind of Fallout-themed controllers. And it looks rather nifty. You've got Vault Dweller, Brotherhood, Pip-Boy, and Mutants. And you can really go to town on these things. Really, really nifty. I love that Microsoft does this. I know that everyone makes a kind of joke about they release a new color pad like every week. But the fact that you can go in and design something, especially for a franchise as popular and as culturally significant to video games as Fallout is, it's really cool that for big Fallout fans, you can just go ahead and.
If you're a big Fallout fan, you hate Bethesda's Fallout, you love Interplay's Fallout. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the real Fallout fans, man.
Those are the Fallout boys, if you will.
Oh, okay. Are you going to get one? I know you're a big Fallout fan. You going to pick one up?
No, I have too many controllers as is, and I get them for free, so it makes it even harder to want to pay money for them.
Fair. I've been dealing with a broken Elite pad that has still got a right bumper that's completely knackered. I've fixed it 3 times. It keeps breaking. I'm just like, I just resent. Well, I'm waiting for the Elite 3. That's what I'm waiting for.
If I can ever find a way to make it cheaper to send you the extra one of these I will. It's at least $50 if I can. That'll be the cheapest, most likely.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. If you want to go check out a Fallout, God, I forgot how to speak. Fallout styled controller, you can go and check out the link. I put it in the chat for Design Labs. Go check it out. Yes. Well, what else? Let's have a look.
The one that had been the headliner before I was like, oh, WWE is actually really good SEO. I'll do that one.
Yeah. Oh,
that's our version of SEO. It's like, what will people click on more likely without it just being shitty clickbait? Because shitty clickbait sucks, but interesting topics are good. So.
And you originally went with, and I get it. It's a fair toss-up between.
It's only the second
fans.
one ever. It's only the second one of these of all time.
What, custom?
Yep.
Custom console?
Directly custom console for the Series X. It was the Halo console. So it's the Spongebob limited Series X, which is part of a $700 bundle at Best Buy only. Wow. It's an actual limited edition skinned console. That's the difference. Like, they've done these for giveaways. There's been like 40 of them, but they make 1 or 2. This is them actually making a bundle with a controller for a game that or for a franchise. It's got its own box and everything. Oh, it's fantastic. And thankfully they kept the All-Stars Brawl 2 name on the left. It's not on the front. So when you're just looking at your console, you just see SpongeBob. I know a lot of people are saying they got to do this with the Bluey one. It's like, if the Bluey game was better, I bet you they would. If they do a big Bluey game, then you can bring the Bluey one back.
Yeah, Bluey
Yeah,
Dungeon Crawler or something like that would justify a limited edition Bluey console being sold at retail.
And they did make sure to say a limited supply of these bundles are going on sale on Thursday, and it is $700, and you have to do it through the Best Buy mobile app. That's it. So it sounds like there might be a small number, not a lot, of these. Like,
I can see Cheeseworks in the chat. Does it laugh when it turns on? You can just imagine just SpongeBob's laugh on repeat whenever it's powered on. That's the price you pay for having a SpongeBob console. You just hear that laugh forever during gameplay, watching a movie. Just SpongeBob. Still,
I guess this there was Mr. Krabs was added to Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl. Thus, I doubt that's the main reason they're doing this, but that's also a very busy controller. It's interesting, but it is busy.
Yeah, I would have preferred something a little bit understated in my hands,
but with SpongeBob, understated is not what you get.
No, SpongeBob is a great cartoon. Like,
oh yeah, no, it's fantastic. It is
appreciate SpongeBob.
One of the best to watch as a parent when you've got dumb little kids who just want to have things yelling at them,
or when you're a teenager and you've had a little smoke. Never have. Not from experience.
Not once.
Just what I've heard.
Life.
Just what I've heard. All right. And then I guess the other really big headline from today specifically, Xbox related at least, is they've just done their Game Pass drop, which I think you covered rather swiftly, as you mentioned
as fast
earlier.
as I could. I am a Swiftie. You do know me. I don't know if I know any Taylor Swift music off the top of my head, but I'll pretend to be. Nope.
Oh, okay.
No, never heard it. If I have, I don't know what it is.
But yes, once again, thank you to Sony PlayStation and MLB for bringing MLB The Show 24.
But no, thank you.
On day one,
because we used to review MLB The Show when Xbox was in charge of its PR on Xbox, but now Sony is in charge of all of its PR. They just don't even respond to me. I cannot get a copy. It's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
Best game in there is Control Ultimate Edition. That game rules. It's really good. Control has a very bad story. Like, it's very by the numbers as a plot, but it has the coolest setting. It looks great on Series X, and it's just super fun. It's not their smoothest gameplay, but it's their coolest. I think Quantum Break had a better mix of powers and the flow of combat worked better, but just the straight up flying around, tossing shit gameplay in Control is incredibly fun.
I had a good time with it, and if you're like Nick, it's got a god mode. You don't even have to be challenged. You can just stomp your way through the game and just experience the narrative.
It has some massive difficulty spikes where that is appreciated, because you'll just die in like a second, and the health drops to gain health back are these little tiny blue crystals on the ground, and you can't always tell where they are. Yeah. But yeah, as Taryn says in chat, the actual side content I think is more interesting and better than the main plot, which is the main plot's very boilerplate, kind of. You see where it's going, and more of the side stuff and the side characters are more interesting. They're going for that weird Twin Peaksy vibe quite a bit, which works really well, and they do that more in the side stuff than in the main, because like the main antagonist that ends up being there and stuff is just kind of like, it's fine. But the side content is fantastic in the way it ties into Alan Wake 2, where their organization from Control is a big part of Alan Wake 2. It's very the Remedy verse. I'm here for it, and I'm very excited. And this happened a week after they got their control back of their friggin' IP. So they bought it back from 505 Games, and now the good Ultimate Edition, which never came to Game Pass, it was just the regular one before. So now the Ultimate Edition is if I might be wrong, someone will yell at me if I'm wrong, but
it's a better performing product than the OG version. So even if you've played it before, might be worth a revisit, especially if you haven't finished it.
Weak, not the best DLC, but now you don't have to pay for it. So
yeah.
And the character's name is Jesse. but it's a
which
lady.
means you're a big fan.
Mhm.
What else have we got? So continuing the SpongeBob theme, the other drops this week, we've got SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. So this is the remaster of the last gen SpongeBob game, which I think so. Rehydrated.
Might have been 2 ago. I think Battle for Bikini Bottom might have been 360.
Oh yes. I think you were right. Yeah, 2 gens.
Then they redid it for the 1. Yeah.
This is being released across, obviously, cloud console and PC on March 12th. We have Paw Patrol World coming on March the 7th for cloud console and PC, continuing the kid-friendly vibe. No More Heroes 3, March 14th. MLB The Show, as we already mentioned, is March the 19th. And we also have, and this has been coming for a while, we've seen a few trailers for this, Lightyear Frontier into game preview on March 19th as well.
Hopefully we'll have coverage of that one in some form. It's not going to be a review for game preview. I did an impressions piece on Pal World. There'd probably be something similar, because you never know how long a game's going to be in preview, and by then your review is stuck on Metacritic forever if they don't let you update.
Yeah, and who would want to be doing that to the devs coming in and saying, this unfinished game that's clearly going through this lengthy testing period is a 5 out of 10 when it could be
how
about 9 by the time you're done.
When Pal World was an 8 out of 10 on PC and then a 7 out of 10 on Xbox, and then a week later it got updated to be pretty much the exact same on both consoles.
Go figure. And yeah, leaving on March 15th, we have Hard Space Shipbreaker.
Very good.
Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, and Shredders. So they're all leaving the service on March 15th.
I never played Shredders. That was the snowboarding game, which Phil made sure was in there because he likes snowboarding.
He does like snowboarding. Doesn't like me. Does like snowboarding. I jest. I don't know if Phil likes me or not. Probably not. Okay, so yeah, it's a good Game Pass drop though. There's some stuff in there I think for everybody. I know my kids could be excited to play SpongeBob and probably maybe not Jacob.
They might have aged out of Paw Patrol. That one seems very 3 to 6 year old, which is I know people were like, what are they doing letting Toys for Bob go? And it's like, well, they can still work with them and make games, but their family focus is kids don't give a shit about Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and Banjo. They don't. That's more our age through the probably early 20s at the most. Paw Patrol and Peppa Pig and all this dumb shit, that's this young kid. Then you go up, you age up a little bit, and it is just Fortnite and Dead by Daylight, Call of Duty, like all the things you don't think are the kids' games have massive kid audience. Five Nights at Freddy's is bigger than any recent Crash or Spyro thing. Like this is where they focus. They have a lot of Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is in Game Pass, and that's where my kids fell in love with it. And like they just started finding more stuff through Game Pass. Like people need to expand their horizons into the horrific shit that our kids play on consoles. Lots of violence. True
story. Okay, and then we'll get into some news. First of all, Yuzu, the emulator team, or Luzu, is that what you just because they lost?
News-oo, because they were starting off the news.
Oh, okay. Well, there's several ways we could have taken this. They have settled with Nintendo, paying them $2.4 million as part of the lawsuit, cancelling all future software development. Nutshell: don't mess with Nintendo when it comes to IP infringement.
The issue was they put behind a Patreon wall early access, which gave 1 week's early access to Tears of the Kingdom before it came out. The moment you do something that stupid, you get the target on you. It's like emulation on the Xbox. They didn't give a shit until somebody tried to emulate 360. The moment that happened on console, they killed it all. It's like you just need to know the line. And when you have some asshole that steps over the line, he ruins it for everyone else, because there are plenty of people like myself who will have a legitimate copy of the game but want to play it on PC because the Switch sucks. It is terrible hardware. It was bad when it was new, and if I can play this at 4K 60 with my legal copy that I legally dumped from my legal console that I bought, because I've got the keys from that console, like that's what makes it legal. As long as you have your own keys for the emulator from your console to let the games run. You have your own copy of the game that you own, that you dump your copy of. That's the only time it's legal, essentially. And even then, it's all a gray area until eventually they side with the corporations, I'm sure.
It's funny. I saw a conversation online, I think I was going to say yesterday, people discussing like, when other people other than Steam come out and say, hey, here's a new launcher for your PC to release just our games on, and everyone goes, just use Steam. I think Nintendo are probably one of the only manufacturers that could be like, here's a Nintendo launcher for PC, here's all of our games. No one would complain. There would be zero complaints. They would just all buy it, and Nintendo would make a silly amount of money.
That's where I'm going to be really curious, because we know Nintendo's probably not going to do that anytime soon, but I think it's very likely that Sony is, that they are working on having their own cross-buy, cross-play, cross-save PC launcher for their first-party stuff, and they'll probably try and do the Xbox thing and get other games into that launcher. I'm very curious, is that the one that can get it? Because outside, if you're not Minecraft, if you're not like a Riot game, if you're not very few specific things, you have to be on Steam on PC, or else it kills you, kind of like it did. It didn't help Alan Wake 2, as we talked about with Remedy. Like Alan Wake 2 only got made because Epic Games paid for it to get made. It'll only ever be on the Epic Games Store, and it just didn't sell that great. It's like, but would have really sold way better if it was on Steam. It's like, Steam's not even good. Steam sucks. It's just people are so used to it, it's all they want. But the actual app stinks.
Yeah. I'm just curious from a pure business perspective, like Nintendo have to know that they would sell and make an incredible amount of money by releasing their games on PC. And it's not like most PCs would struggle to run a lot of their games.
It would change all of their hardware targets. Like everything they do hardware-wise would then shift completely, because right now they don't have to really worry about 4K. They don't have to worry about all these things, but their pipeline is to try and push something that looks at least okay in 1080p. And they're not going 1440p or 4K. So if you start going on PC and these devs have so much more overhead, like it's just a complete philosophical change for them. So that's where I'm curious, how would they react? Probably not the best, I would imagine.
Fair point. But yes, that seems to be the end of Yuzu for now.
And not just Yuzu, but also I forget the name. I think Sintra. They're a 3DS emulator that was under the same people, got caught in its wake, and people are very mad because 3DS emulation is important for preservation, because they're turning off all the stores and online and everything. So it really sucks. Like, that's why it sucks when Nintendo does this, because Nintendo is about to turn off like their Wii U stuff, their 3DS stuff. So unless you can emulate it, you can never do it online anymore. Like, there's thousands and thousands of Mario Maker levels that are about to just completely disappear forever, and you can never touch them again. And it's like, there's no real way to, it's just what they do, and people are used to it, and they'll buy 150 million of their next console and then be shocked in 10 years when it's barely usable. So
yeah, frustrating. Okay, all right, next up we have world-renowned video game reporter,
beautiful man.
He is. Jeff Grubb has said, and I'm going to make sure that we completely misquote him and make it definitive in every way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Respawn has some sort of game in the early stages of prototyping that is set in the Titanfall universe, but that is not Titanfall 3. Is it Apex 2? Is it something else? Why isn't it Titanfall 3? Why? Why isn't it Titanfall 3, man?
Shit's expensive to make. It needs to be. So from their eyes, I'm guessing it needs to have some form of, what is this multiplayer going to differentiate itself from Apex Legends? How are we going to monetize it? Because Titanfall, so the toughest thing, you need an IP that can just yoink in other IP. And that can be hard. Like, that hurt Halo Infinite. They've done the Fracture stuff to just have different designs But even then, like they are still averse to just throwing in an Iron Man suit or their own stuff, like a COG suit from Gears of War or the power armor from Fallout, because they know their fans will lose their goddamn shit.
Yeah.
So there's always this thing, because the biggest IPs are the ones that just take in tons of content from other IP that have nothing to do with what they do. Like, it's the biggest sellers in Fortnite, the biggest sellers in Genshin Impact, the biggest sellers in all this shit is just putting friggin' Attack on Titan in Call of Duty. Like, it makes no sense, but Call of Duty doesn't care. Their fans don't care. Yeah. They just, So whatever they end up doing, they need to find a way to condition their fans to be okay with dumb shit, because dumb shit makes a lot of money.
Yeah, people love getting different characters and things of that nature. So
they love their dress up like Nick.
Yeah. Speaking of Nick, he heard that there might be a Ghost of Tushima PC port that could be announced, and I think he said around the 5th. So maybe not today, around, right? So we could tentatively look at tomorrow as well, or some point this week. But he'd heard that might be happening.
This one took off too. I saw it everywhere. It was the headliner for Grubb show yesterday. It's been on a bunch of websites. And it's like, for only a 50-50 tier 3 insider, according to the gaming leak and rumors subreddit, that had they did a Google form.
Is that tier 3?
You do a Google form where you fill in, how do you think they are? Super reliable, not reliable, and all these things on just a bunch of people. And it's just so stupid. It's so dumb.
Video game leaks, man. But yeah, so we don't know. I've not spoken to Nick about it. He just put it out there on Twitter. So
it has been the longest one from that. All those games pretty much are out on PC or announced for PC. This would be the one that took by far the longest, when I think it should have been one of the first, because it was one of the better ones. Yeah.
But it's, there you go. Maybe that's happening soon. Interestingly, I also read a rumor, and this isn't from Nick, but kind of is linked to Nick, that Gravity Rush 2 might be coming to PC. And funnily enough, PS5. I think Nick heard that was coming to PC. I want to say like back in 2019 or maybe early 2020. So
because they're oddly enough, they got rid of the company that makes Gravity Rush 2, Japan studio, but now they're doing a Gravity Rush movie and potentially doing a remaster for PS5 and PC, which is a weird thing. But I wouldn't mind. That was actually one of their best ones.
Made it. Yeah,
that was one that was like really focused on the gameplay, which is oddly enough what's really helped with Helldivers too, because it plays really well.
Yeah, which as well, I suppose I think I saw Helldivers 2 is on sale, apparently. So if you haven't picked it up yet, I haven't, but I'm probably going to check out and see if I can grab a copy, because
that would be a very fun one to stream together.
Yeah, for Xbox Era Hangouts, which I feel like we should start this week. We should start that this week. Maybe Thursday night. What about Thursday night? You busy Thursday night? Like my Thursday night, your Thursday afternoon. Are you? Oh,
yeah. Because at 1 p.m., which is 6 p.m. on Thursday night, we have a co-stream. It's later. It's coming in the news.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we do it after that. We could do it after that. Something like that. Anyway,
it all depends on how many notifications we have. We have to start being cognizant of that. Sadly,
that's a good word. I like cognizant. Speaking of cognizant, wait, this doesn't make any sense. Halo released a little teaser for their Cyber Showdown Fracture 3 that kicks off today. It introduces a new, I believe, developer-made Forge map set in some sort of space elevator. I think it was actually developed by the side of the team that works exclusively on Forge. I can't remember if that's Skybox Labs or Sperasoft. I can't remember which developer it is, so I'm not going to say that as a definitive. But it includes 6 new Husky Raid maps, which have been in testing for a while and launch into matchmaking, and a bunch of new stuff that you can earn, and you can get a premium pass for it, and it will never expire, and all of that stuff. So if you're still loving Halo Infinite, you can go pick that up at launch later on today.
I feel dirty, but I've been so busy. I haven't played the PvE mode they put in yet. I have not played Firefight.
What, Firefight?
Yep.
Do you know what?
I've heard it's okay. Okay,
It's
version
fine.
of it. Yeah.
Like, I feel like I do wonder if folks at 343 are looking at the ODST IP and looking at the success of Helldivers and looking at
No.
the franchise that they have and going,
Helldivers is successful because it plays like Metal Gear Solid 5. They essentially just ripped off exactly how Metal Gear Solid 5 plays. It's a very specific feeling. And Halo will never feel like that, especially if you're a goddamn useless ODST that can't even do the cool Spartan shit. No one should ever want to be an ODST. They suck. They're cannon fodder, as you're the super cool badass that can use grapple shots and all this other stuff. And it makes sense because you got this big power armor and you're a big punchy boy and you can do this crazy shit. So give me only Spartans in Halo to play as. I never want to be an orbital drop shock trooper. They suck.
sure. Okay.
Fuck them.
Okay. All right. I don't mean specifically to play like Halo would, but to at least use elements of the IP. But I
Just die immediately. That's all they do. Losers.
just smush into the ground, dead.
Mhm.
Feet first into dead. But yes.
That would make sense for how Helldivers is, though.
Okay. I'm looking forward to giving it a shot. It'll definitely be at some point this month.
With I would say with 343's love of making Oni evil, like if you had Oni as the big bad evil behind you, but they're playing it straight, because that's the thing with Helldivers is the people who like fascism but don't realize it go, Helldivers is really cool. I love the way the government is in this, and then everyone else looks at it and goes, oh no, it's super satirical, dummy.
It's apparently, yeah.
Yeah, like Starship Troopers was unbelievably satirical, but then people look at it as just like this straight played movie, and it's like, no, it's making fun of this dumb shit. But
yeah, too true. Last little bit, Baldur's Gate 3 is now 4 discs on Xbox for its physical edition, as it went a measly 500 meg over the 3-disc limit, so they had to use 4 discs. I think that's a first for a physical game on the Xbox Series consoles, right? For 4 discs.
Because most of the time they just use one, and then you have to download the rest, because Xbox limits to 50 gigabits on a disc. PlayStation lets you go up to 100. So that's one advantage for them. And it's one reason why you get more complete games on PS5 and PS4, and you really rarely ever get a complete game. Larian wants this to be a complete game of a decent patch, so that if you never go online, you can still play the whole game without problem, which isn't going to happen because it's still buggy as shit all the time, and people just are used to it now. But yeah, they were 500 megabits off, and I remember them saying on Twitter, they're like, we could have cut something, but that is the complete opposite reason of why we're doing this physical release, so we just extra disc, change it, which also means they have to change their whole friggin' holder system, I bet. So not an easy decision, but yeah.
It's at least they're doing it, right? For people that really want a physical copy of the game, at least they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there you go. And then I guess the biggest overall piece of news from the entire week so far, at least, is Microsoft came out and announced the next Xbox partner preview. So they've only done one of these previously, and they revealed quite a few new things on the last one, both coming to Game Pass, new game reveals from a variety of publishers. So I'm pretty confident in saying this should be a decent show for anybody that plays on the platform. And this is announcing games, to be clear, coming across Xbox, Windows, or Game Pass, right?
Yeah, not all Game Pass. Like there's Tales of Kenzera Zao, which is not Game Pass at launch. It is an EA published title, so it should eventually be Game Pass. Like anywhere between 6 and 12 months is normal for their published stuff, even though we still haven't got like Immortals of Avium and Jedi Survivor. And so I think it can be a full year.
If I'm using my brain correctly today, the lovely chap Luke Law over at Xbox Expansion Pass, I think he's got an interview either coming up or it's available on his channel for one of the lead voice actors for Tales of Kenzara Zao. So feel free to go check that out if and when it is available, because he does a really good job of interviewing some really cool devs and actors and voice actors and things of that nature. But yeah, we've got Capcom, we've got Nexon, we've got EA, as you've mentioned. This is a 30-minute preview on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, if you're listening to this or watching this right now. March the 6th starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK time. So
that's right. I said
Europe.
Thursday earlier. It's not Thursday. It's tomorrow.
You did. It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday.
But
so
Thursday is the next episode of Headlines. But that's at 10 a.m., so it would be fine.
Yeah. So yeah, they've included a Q&A in there. So for people that want to watch it, the YouTube streams will be in 4K at 60. All other channels, so Twitch, etc., will be 1080p 60. But they've been fairly open in saying that we're going to see combat and traversal in Tales of Kanzara. We're going to see new gameplay from Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess, which was the new Capcom, really brightly coloured IP we saw, I think, at the last partner preview. Closer look at the first Berserker. It is day one Game Pass. And more. So half an hour is a lot of time to squeeze in a lot of games, I think. So that's a chunky show. And I think it shows the size of Microsoft's organization now that they can just do these. You know, like we've got the June showcase coming.
They just did their own developer direct.
Long. Yeah, but like we get to talk about all of this all the time. Oh my God, Kevin Sanchez just coming in with 5 Xbox Zero memberships gifted across the stream. Well, thank you very much.
Aww, thank you so much.
What an absolute legend. But yeah, so I mean, just good news is Jesse and I will be there to keep you company because we'll be co-streaming the event.
The
tomorrow,
Soul Blazers, well, all 3 of us. Yep,
indeed.
Yeah,
so we'll be
I
watching
was
along.
gonna 12:45 p.m. 15 minutes before it starts is when I set things to go. Probably go live with just music and stuff to get people in, but then we'll talk for a little bit beforehand. But yeah, it's funny they have done so many shows since last January, or been at so many shows in the past year and 2 months now. And it just feels like that's just going to ramp up because anything Blizzard does, anything Activision does around Call of Duty, that is all an Xbox show now. It's just, it is silly. It's already been hard to keep up with everything that they do. And it's the one thing that always made me laugh when people are like, but these 4 games and more are going to start going to PlayStation and Switch. And it's like, you can't keep up with everything coming to Game Pass. You just can't. Unless it is your job to sit there and play everything. You pay yourself to play every game on Game Pass. You can't keep up with it as is. What they have coming to the platform to keep the platform going, to constantly pull people in and just to make money everywhere they can is why,
so that they can reinvest it back into that platform. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, you're just defending Microsoft, we don't agree with the decision. I totally get it. And it's not really defending Microsoft, it's just embracing the reality of, look at the rest of the market, look at all the layoffs, look at, I was just in a preview and I can't talk about the game, but look at what's happening in development across the planet, where you're seeing thousands of people let go. All right, well, those thousands of, where can they go to get a new job if places are no longer hiring? Instead of, you've got 10 applicants going, you've got 100. Microsoft are kind of bigger picturing it, I think, to a degree here, and we'll see Sony pivot and start doing day one PC releases. I think imminently. This is just the way the world is going to start working.
They can only get so much out of Nixxes at a time, who are very good at doing PC ports, but getting your own studios to be ready to do a PC port was a huge thing that Xbox has been doing for a while. Thankfully, they had Bethesda join, who already did that. So, in fact, excelled at doing that too often with their console ports being worse. Thankfully, the last few have actually finally felt good from a first-person shooter's perspective and not been Doom. Say what you want about Redfall, it still feels good on a controller. It feels perfect now. It felt good at launch. Starfield feels great on a controller. They've got the advantage on how they swapped, and if they can do the thing businessmen care about and keep their numbers up there and keep the money, and keep the money they make, which is what has really hurt Sony, they will be in a good position. So it's a very different, it's a different headspace to try and wrap everything around, because we are so used to, and we still have it with Nintendo, where selling hardware and selling one copy of software is king, when the reality now for pretty much everyone else is selling hardware is key, but your long-term monetization and your costs are everything. Nintendo keeps their costs down, operating primarily in an area where it's just expected that you work all the time. It's just part of the culture, so it's not like they're bad. They're actually considered a great company to work at in Japan. The Japanese equivalent of Glassdoor, I think they're like they're 4.9 out of 5. Like they're almost perfect. So the people who work there seem to really like it, but it is a very different thing. And Microsoft
it probably
has to.
That they're not pushing 4K.
Yeah,
super textures.
It's
biggest
huge
games in the world.
Because that's like the biggest, most expensive stuff is. We saw it with Spider-Man. All the motion capture was like 50 million just to motion capture cutscenes because you're doing it in LA. People need to be paid. The motion capture studio and all that stuff, all those people capturing it need to be paid. Like the costs just add up the more photorealistic and animation heavy you get. And I think Xbox has a way better variety in their studios, both for genre and for scope. Like, I know Josh Sawyer, he said, people get nervous if I talk about numbers, but I'll just say Pentiment was 3 years with pre-production being 5 people and full production being 13 people. So that's not an expensive thing, and it's an incredible game. And if you can have those mix alongside your 7-year Starfields with, 300-400 people on it most of the time probably, and a lot of support studios, like, and have everything in between. You have your Grounded with 18 people. Like none of their even Hellblade, we talk about it all the time. Senua Saga Hellblade 2 is not a big game, like not compared to some of these other ones.
Thank God it's not a big game. I'm looking forward to it, man. Like small, one and done, narrative heavy, visually exciting, impactful emotionally, all of those wonderful things. Yes, please. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I've been playing quite. It's so nice being able to do this now. I've been playing lots and lots of different things very regularly.
Don't you just feel like once you're doing this and it's not the get away from work experience, and it is I want to do this for fun and create stuff for the site experience, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll play Crusader Kings 3. I don't give a shit about that series. Oh, wow, it's actually really good. But it's those types of things where, like, you can just appreciate the things you're normally not into. You might not love it. I didn't love Crusader Kings 3. I just reviewed it as, wow, this is an incredibly well-made thing for what it is. But then I'm going to try this, and oh, shit, it hits so hard, and I never would have tried it if it wasn't.
Yeah, like, I think you did the WWE review. I the same day, I think later on in the day, I dropped the review for Outlast, the Outlast Trials. Not a game. Honestly, I wish I could have recorded party chat for the first few sessions of that because there was so much screaming. But especially from my crew of compadres who I dragged along for the ride because they're like, "Why you do this to us, man? Like, why?" And I'm like, but over time, you do become desensitized to the scare of it, but then it becomes very funny watching good friends be bludgeoned to death as you're like running around, like capering. It is a different kind of multiplayer experience that I would not normally have particularly gone to, but then found myself quite enjoying and looking at a bit more objectively. So go check it out if you haven't watched the review. It's up on the site now. It's obviously also on our YouTube channel.
It's about to break 1 grand in views.
Oh, good. That one, I had to be very honest about the advertising. There's a lot of gore in it, so it's limited ads.
I did request a review, but I know while there's not, I don't think you put any full-on nudity in there really, but there are a lot of swinging dongs in that game, depending on the crazy guys you get.
I avoided the swinging dong level, I think.
It's really big too. It's really, you can't avoid it. But like, I'm showing a clip on screen.
The level?
The dong. You just reached into a guy's neck hole where his head used to be and pulled out an item. Like, it's that type of horror game. Though not scary, just more stressful. Like stressful horror where it's fun,
it's very
craziness.
Intense. And I have to give a shout out to Genbox 360, who also jumped on to help me capture some additional footage. And we had a good laugh playing with some randoms as well. So yeah, go check it out if you haven't already. And I think that is about it for the news. As always, if you enjoy what Xbox Era does, feel free to support us on Patreon. We really do love it if you do. Patreon.com/Xbox Era. And one last note while we've got you all here, the current second print run for the Kickstarter, we're about 33% in. Like, my heart says it's probably not going to make it, so I feel bummed for the 111 people that are currently backing it. But it just doesn't look set to cross the finish line. We've got 18 days to go, though, so if you've just been paid and you wanted a copy of the Xbox Era book,
it's the last
please
chance.
do consider backing. It is the last chance.
We'd love to have a
unless you're
store to
Patreon
sell
member.
it in all the time, but it just we couldn't figure anything out. It's tough.
It's too tricky. And for those of you that have
rough, they want Amazon's like, prove you own every IP in this book, and it's like, oh shit, or you have the rights to. It's like, oh boy.
Yeah. It's very, very hard. And if you are one of the Patreon members that has exclusive access to our store where we're selling the leftover stock, the super limited edition is completely sold out. There are copies of the other editions still available. And for those like, hey, when are you sending them out? My aim is to do that this week. So box them all up. I've got to label them all, and I've got to basically take them to a local post office. So bear with me, caller, while I go through that process, because, you know, that's a long time standing in line in the local posties, pissing everybody else off behind me, but I'll get it done. And lastly, for the show tomorrow, we're obviously doing the co-stream for the Xbox partner preview. One small, just making you aware, is I actually get my kids back tomorrow. They've had a couple of days at their mum's. They're back with me tomorrow evening. It's 6 p.m. I'm going to feed them beforehand and then park them somewhere and hope they don't come in. But be prepared for an invasion of that. They will just do it, especially if they know I'm actually doing something live. They'll be like, oh, let's go and annoy dad. So I might have to, you know, make like Jeff Grubb and juggle a few things, but my apologies in advance. Other than that, thanks for hanging out, chat. Be sure to hit like if you enjoyed the video. It does help us out. We'll be back. I literally just saw someone back the project literally right now. So if you're watching and you just went to the Kickstarter and backed the project, you're a legend. We'll be back tomorrow for the partner preview, and then headlines will be back on Thursday at the normal time. I won't be late this time, and we'll see you soon.
Ciao for now.